So here we have Star Wars, Kanan the Last Padawan, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And I believe that's all there was of this. Figured it's appropriate to talk about these now, seeing as how Star Wars Rebels is about to premiere its third season. Big fan of Star Wars Rebels. I loved it. It kind of restored mine and a lot of people's faith in Disney taking over Star Wars. And to coincide with the show, they released a series of comics that told the backstory of Kanan, which, if you watch the show, there was a whole lot about Kanan we didn't really know about. So this kind of helped to fill in the gaps for the most part. So we have here Kanan and his Jedi Master, who they mentioned in Rebels. Her name is Deepa Balaba, I believe, Baleba or something like that. Star Wars names are hard. Yeah, that's his Jedi Master. They mentioned her briefly in the show, and she was one of those Jedi that you probably saw in the background of the prequels that we never really got to see do anything. Thankfully, stuff like Rebels and Clone Wars kind of helped alleviate that problem. But yeah, she was the master of Kanan, so we got to see Kanan in his younger days when he was a Padawan, still learning, fighting with the clone troops, and this first volume here. It starts off obviously with the rebels. There you see them right there. Then we get a flashback of Kanan and his master fighting alongside the clones, and Volume 1 takes place right before Order 66. That's where it starts out, because we have there you can see the clones palling around with Kanan and Deepa. Is it Deepa or Depa? I think it's Depa. So you see them palling around there. That's where he gets the holocron too. That's she's the one that gives it to him. You know, it does kind of suffer from the same problem all prequels have, not just Star Wars prequels, but all of them. It's that we already know what's going to go down. But that doesn't mean that certain things still don't have an emotional impact. So you see, here we have the end of the first comic, where Order 66 is given, and the clones have to do, what they do, and then issue 2 picks up. And if you remember from the end of Season 1 of Rebels, when Kanan was being questioned by the Inquisitors, or the Inquisitor, but the Inquisitors were Season 2, that he goes, "Tell me, Jedi, what is the last thing your master said to you before the clones attacked?" And he said, "Run." So yeah, this is when that happens, and it's pretty messed up, because he essentially sees his master get killed by the clones, and then he has to go off. He actually steals a ship, and he goes off, not really knowing where to go or what to do. So he steals a ship from he's a bounty hunter, I think, or no, he's a smuggler. So he steals a ship from a smuggler, and he kind of convinces him to let him stay. And one thing to note too is that because he got away, he's wanted, and you should note that Kanan is not his real name. His real name is actually Caleb, and he changed it to Kanan because the Republic was looking for him at the time. Now, the other problem I have with this series is that it's kind of chronologically out of order, because here we have Volume 2, and in Volume 2 we kind of go backwards a bit to when he's training at the Jedi Temple, like right before he became her Padawan. And I never really liked that kind of thing. I wish because these were individual volumes of a comic, and I kind of wish maybe they could have just put them in correct order, but it's not a huge deal, but it's just something I really don't prefer. And then we get to see him pal around with the clones a little bit, which again, is very upsetting knowing what we know if you've watched the series. It also helps hammer in why Kanan didn't trust the clones when they met the old clones in season 2, and he was really, really upset to see them. And it's really upsetting because you get to see how close he was with some of the members of the clone troopers. You get to see the two of them even take on General Grievous, which was really cool. His master was kind of a badass. Like I kind of wish she got a little bit more fanfare, but you know, she was one of the many background characters that again didn't do anything until you know, somebody said, "Hey, let's make them a main character on Clone Wars, or you know, put them in a comic book or something," and then they become cool. But yeah, I really don't want to give too much more away about this one. It's really cool if you're a fan of Rebels and you want a little bit more from the story. Then I'd say I definitely recommend these. So. That's all I got for these. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think.